Okay, hi, welcome to another one of my Yu-Gi-Oh deck profiles. So this is going to be for my 6th place locals Gravekeeper deck, or nicknaming it Royal Tribute Turbo. So you kind of get the idea about what the deck's going to basically be. It's all about basically getting Necrovalley on the board and using Royal Tribute to snipe out your opponent's monsters, which most decks pretty much their entire hand, which I was able to pull off once against a Chaos deck. I'll put the, as I always do, put the deck that I went against in the description below, and then you about the setup and everything. So let's get straight into the profile. So we basically want to get to Necrovalley as quickly as possible. So we have the 3 Gravekeepers Commandant to basically pitch it to search out the Necrovalley as quickly as possible. And this isn't a hard one to turn in any sense, so you can go through 3 of these if you so desired. And you always run 3 in a Gravekeeper deck anyway, just to get the Necrovalley. It's the key card. You then have 3 Gravekeeper Priestess. So basically when she's on the field and then there's no other field spells on your field, it basically has the field treated as Necrovalley, so this basically cheats out Royal Tribute as well for its effect, which is handy. Plus it gives a teensy boost of an extra 200 attack and defense for your Gravekeepers, which isn't too bad. Then 2 Spiritualists, which we try and use in order to go to like fusion plays for like further game states if we want to. But yeah, there was actually one time where I did a practice run and I was actually able to pull off 3 Supernaturalists with these, and then basically getting both of these effects off as well. Gravekeeper Headman, which basically allows you to monster reborn of one of your level 4 Gravekeepers. Why it was just a level 4 Gravekeeper, not any Gravekeeper, I don't know. They always like to put restrictions on the weaker archetypes rather than the better ones. But yeah. The one Hieretic, who basically is unaffected by everything if Necrovalley is on the board, which includes the attack boost for it, unfortunately, which is a bit dumb, but oh well, it's the thing there. And then Gravekeeper Descendant, in case we ever need to use it for its effect to destroy stuff on the field. Plus it's one of the stronger Gravekeepers, which is level 4, so that's that. And then that's it for the monster line. That we try and have this as a minimum 3 copies, if I can get them all separated. There we go. 3 copies of Necrovalley, just a very staple floodgate, which has been very useful in a lot of formats. It's still useful now. I had this against a couple of Dinosaur players, and this does help out with locking out their graveyard for their double evolution pill, as well as for the banishing for miscellaneous Saurus, and then summoning out their ultimate conductor Tyranno. So it's actually pretty decent in that regard, and also for other decks and everything. And then the main thing we want to try and get to Royal Tribute as a going first thing, and then this is easily sided out when going second, because obviously you wouldn't be able to resolve this as effectively. But yeah, it's just like that. This is the main focus of the deck, and then we do whatever we can to try and get to Necrovalley. So we have a few means. We basically have obviously the 3 Necrovalleys, so that's 3, and then we got the Commandant, which is a 6 guarantee, Priestess being the 9, and then 3 copies of Necrovalley Throne. This is a guaranteed basically search that you use more or less for your Commandant to pitch in order to get your Necrovalley, but you can use it for any other Gravekeeper for your deck if you want to, and then you could also use this to get a second Zone if you have too many Gravekeepers in hand. And then finally the Terraforming, which we have in order to get to Necrovalley. So there's basically 13 Necrovalleys more or less guaranteed in the deck, which is a good thing. And the rest of it's basically just draw power, because unfortunately Royal Tribute doesn't have a specific card that you can use to search it out without having to use something like Left Arm Offering, but then you lose your sets, which are actually a little bit important in this deck, which we'll get to momentarily. So just run a whole bunch of draw power in this. So 3 Desires, because we run multiple copies of everything. 3 pot of Duality, because special summons don't matter too much. 2 copies of Allure of Darkness, because we have enough of them. 1 card of Demise. 1 Day of Peace. Upstart Goblin. Card Destruction. And then that's it for the draw power sake, so I wouldn't pay attention to the cards there. And then the last of the spells is 2 copies of the Hidden Temples in Necrovalley, which, if you have a Gravekeeper and Necrovalley on the board, this counts as Vanity's Openness except for Gravekeepers, which, again, is useful in the right circumstances, but if you lose either Necrovalley or a Gravekeeper, then you lose this as well, which makes it a little bit fragile in that regard, which is a little bit annoying, but yeah, it's a useful thing for like a soft lock and everything. And then we run 3 Solemn Judgment for when we've used our Royal Tribute to basically try and stall out the game so we can beat over our opponent to win. And then the 1 copy of Imperial Tombs in Necrovalley, which is just an Omni-Negate. Hard ones per turn, unfortunately, you do need both a Gravekeeper monster and Necrovalley on the board in order to use it, which is why I only have it at 1 copy. But yeah, that's essentially that for the main deck there. Sideboard is just obviously, once we know if we're going to be going second, the kind of stuff we need to use. 3 Sphere Mode for breaking big boards. And the one Pankratops and the one Kumongous Sticky String Kaiju I was able to use against Dinosaurs. Actually, I was able to use that in order to get rid of the last sort of defense that they had. 3 Twin Twisters for back row decks, so doesn't really matter too much. 1 copy of Red Reboot, I still think is beneficial. 3 Evenly Match, which was the thing I was able to use against one of the Dinosaur players, and then use the Pankratops to get rid of their last resource. And then just a little thing I like to have, 3 copies of Waking the Dragon, just as I can set it as bait. They can Heavy Storm, Lightning Storm it, and then they get one of these effects off. I never pulled it off, but the option was there if I needed it. And then the extra deck, which doesn't matter too much. I don't run Extravagance in this because it's too much of a risk for the first 2 cards and then can't get anything else. 3 Supernaturalist. This kind of gives soft protection to your Necrovalley from stuff like Lightning Storm and everything, but it doesn't stop from being targeted, so it is vulnerable to things like Cosmic Cyclone or whatever. But, you know, getting this on board is pretty decent. Like I said, I was able to get all 3 of these out on board one time, not in these games, but in practice. These next few monsters are going to be the Waking the Dragon targets, so any monster-centric decks I run the Last Warrior from Another Planet to lock out summons, and the Exterio for the the heavy spell and trap based ones. Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon if it goes to like 1 boss monster, and then 2 Raid Raptor Ultimate Falcon. I run 2 of these. Basically the idea is that if I had all 3 of them set and they all got nukes, the idea would basically be summon these 2 in addition to either this one or this one, and then it basically locks your opponent out from doing certain things, and then they struggle to get over these particular cards and everything. And then just run some generic stuff otherwise. Visceral for graveyard effects, because good to stall out. Time Thief we do it first, stealing cards from their deck. Dark Rebellion for push for game. Ghost Mold for was able to recycle stuff, and then Break Sword for sniping stuff, and then Nightmare Shark to push over things for game. Link stuff like Nightmare Phoenix and whatever is always a beneficial thing to have in the sideboard, in the extra deck as well if you so desired. But yeah, that is essentially deck itself. It proved pretty consistent for the most part, but it does have its flaws and everything, like being able to search out this is a bit of a problem, but otherwise it's been pretty good, and it did help me out in a few circumstances. But yeah, there we go. That's it for this video, and I shall catch next time for whatever I do next. So long, take care.